Alright, so I went ahead and I've transferred this onto my canvas board. So the next step is going to be to create a wash over this. And what that's going to help me do is I'm going to put one layer basically of a light brown over this. I've mixed some burnt umber together with some Van Dyke brown. And that's going to give me kind of a dull brown color to make my wash. What I'm going to do is mix that with, this is not water, this is terpenoid. It's an odorless mineral spirit that we can use to make a wash. And what that's going to do is help thin it out, because the last thing I want is to put a wash over this and then cover up those lines that I just worked so hard to find and transfer. So I want to keep those lines on there, but I want a wash. And again, the wash, what that's going to do is help me find my midtones. I'm basically putting one layer of midtones over this entire thing, and that's going to help me gauge my highlights and my shadows better. If I just leave it white like this, I can only go darker from there. But if I put a light wash over this, so that my entire thing is like a value 3 or 4, then I can work out to find correct highlights, and then I can work darker to find correct shadows. And so I'm going to thin this out, this color I've mixed. Again, I put a little bit of Van Dyke brown and burnt umber into this. And it's going to give me a very dull brown. I am not going to keep it this dark. It's going to start out like this, but then I'm going to put a lot more of this mineral spirit in it so I can still see my outline underneath. Now I'm on a little bit of an incline doing this right now, so it's probably going to drip. So bear with me. Yours should probably be on a flat surface. But I'm just going to cover this thing with a light wash, and then I'll be done with this next step. As you can see, it barely takes any. I have barely used any of this color I mixed. In contrast to acrylic paint, oil paint goes a little bit, goes a long way. Just a little bit of oil paint's gonna last a long, long time. So as you can see, I'm putting this on light enough that I can still see my outline underneath. There's a little bit of a glare with my camera here. Let's see if I can, there we go. So if I get the glare out of there, you can still see that outline underneath, and that's gonna serve me well once I start looking for my highlights and my shadows and my underpainting. So right now this is called a wash, and it's the first step for us in creating our underpainting. And the reason behind it, again, is to provide us with midtones from the outset to help us gauge our values better throughout. So I can still see my outline underneath. I've got this entire thing covered with a pretty even coat. Again, if I was to do this with my finger, you can see it's going to lighten it up a little bit. So it's very thin, so if I start doing stuff like that, it can wash off very quick. So I'm going to try and keep this one nice smooth layer to keep it consistent. But otherwise, at this point, I'm done, and I've got myself a nice wash over this to begin my underpainting.